We all know that time is precious, but has that ever been more true than when visiting Walt Disney World? Because let's be honest, most folks, you're only there for a few days and you've probably paid quite a pretty penny to be there. And yet, time and again, I see folks wasting valuable theme park time on stuff that could easily be avoided. Well, in this video, I'm going to be helping make sure that you are not one of those people by bringing to your attention the biggest time wasters at Walt Disney World. Okay then, let's start with by far the most common one that I see all of the time, and that is people wasting their time by having to stop and look for their lost car. Now, this might sound like a bit of a non-event to you, but Walt Disney World car parks are no joke. Like, they're properly huge. And the problem with lost cars has actually gotten so bad that Disney themselves actually have a car locator app now. Yes, that's right. You can get GPS coordinates for where you've parked your car. And it really is a problem. Like, every time I go, I see people just kind of wandering aimlessly around the vast car parks with the little key fob in the hope that it'll give them some indication as to where they've left their rental car. My suggestion to you to make sure that you know where your car is and not waste that time is to simply take a picture of the row that you park on and the section that you're in with that cell phone that we all know you can't go to Disney World without. This is just going to save you a lot of time and a lot of frustration at the end of the day when everybody's tired and you just want to get back to your vehicle. It really is a time saver, and I really can't recommend this enough. Now, if all that falls apart, you forgot to take your photograph and you haven't got the app or you can't use it, there is another way. If you find one of the Disney security vehicles and you are able to remember roughly what time you arrived at the park, they can actually direct you to the section that was being parked at that time, so at least you've got a smaller area to search in. But seriously, don't do that. Just take the photograph, it's way easier. Okay, the next big waste of time that I want to talk about, and this one is going to be a little bit controversial, and that is park hopping. Now, personally, I like to park hop, but I will acknowledge that it is actually a massive waste of everybody's time. What I mean by that is that while you're traveling from park to park, you're obviously not actually in a park. So while you're driving around or getting a ferry boat or a skyline or a bus, that's all time that you could be riding rides or watching shows or, eating snacks, the important stuff. And again, this may sound like I'm being dramatic, but let's take Magic Kingdom for example. Let's say you're at the back of New Fantasyland and you decide that you want to leave the park and go to, best case scenario would be Epcot. You've still got to walk all the way through the park, through all those crowded people. That in and of itself is going to take you time. Then you've got to go queue up and wait for a monorail, get on that monorail. That obviously takes time to get over to Epcot, then get off the monorail at Epcot, then clear security again, and now you're finally in the park. And that is literally the best case scenario, because if you're trying to go to somewhere like Animal Kingdom, that's a lot more difficult. So, as much as I love park hopping, I do have to acknowledge that it is actually a massive waste of time. And if you're really looking to maximise every single minute, park hopping might not necessarily be the strategy for you. Next up, let's talk food. Specifically, lunch and dinner times at counter service restaurants. Now, at peak times, the lines here can be some of the longest in the entire theme park. But one way that you can avoid these lines is by using the online mobile app to order your food ahead of time and then simply go to the collection window and pick it up there. The lines are always much shorter doing it this way. Another tactic that I like to employ, and I have spoken about it in previous videos, is to eat at off-peak times. And what I mean by this is perhaps going for lunch or dinner a little early, or perhaps a little later than is traditional, and that way you can really reduce the amount of time that you spend stood in lines just queuing up to get your dinner or your evening meal or whatever. Hi folks, hope you don't mind me interrupting here for a second just to let you know that Florida Tips for Brits now has a podcast, and you can find it right here on this channel every Wednesday. So if you're looking for more information just like this, but even more in-depth, real deep dive type stuff, then maybe get subscribed and check it out. Now back to the video. Well, this next one is probably going to upset some people, but I'm just going to come out and say it. Shopping at Walt Disney World is a massive waste of time. Sorry, I'm just pausing to let people leave who are now so upset with me they can't watch the rest of the video. But seriously, shopping at Disney World, it can be a real waste of time. Now, there is a caveat to this. There are times when shopping makes sense. Like, for example, in a massive rainstorm. Go do some shopping, that's the time to do it. But what I'm talking about is the sun's out, you can get around the theme park, and you're stood in a store looking at Christmas ornaments or whatever the case may be. That's actually personal experience speaking. My wife loves the Christmas shop. This is especially true when you're talking about stores that are found on Main Street USA at Magic Kingdom or at the Connection store at Epcot, because these stores stay open 1 hour after park closing. Yes, that's right. You get an extra hour just to go shopping at the end of the night. So please, 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 don't waste your time standing in stores during normal operating hours, because you've got that extra hour at the end. Use it to your advantage. So this next waste of time is for all those coffee drinkers out there, and that is the huge waste of time is queuing for coffee at Disney World. Oh my God, the queue for Starbucks at like Animal Kingdom can be almost as long as the one for Flight of Passage. Like, it's crazy. I was gonna say wild then, but I resisted the temptation to go for the pun. I'm getting better. It's crazy how long it is. Seriously, pick up a coffee on the way, or make one at home at the hotel or the villa or wherever. Get your caffeine fix before you get to the theme park, because otherwise you're gonna stand in line for 30 minutes to get your Starbucks. And then the lines for the rides are gonna be longer, and you've just wasted like an absolutely inordinate amount of time getting a brew. It's ridiculous. Get your coffee at home. So it wouldn't be Florida without at least mentioning the weather. And the weather can certainly be a huge waste of everybody's time. Not because you get wet, but I'm thinking more like it's shutting down those outdoor rides. So I'm thinking Test Track, Slinky Dog Dash, Big Thunder Mountain, things like that, Everest at Animal Kingdom. All of those will shut down if there's lightning in the area. So with that in mind, it's a huge waste of time to go ahead and stand in line for, say, 45 minutes, only to find out that as you're tantalisingly close to the front of that line for Test Track, there's lightning in the area and it's shut down. And it could be shut down for 10 minutes, it could be shut down for the rest of the day, you just don't know. And you're unlikely to get anything like a fast pass return or something like that unless you were actually on the ride, or next onto the ride. Everybody else, it's just tough luck. You've waited in line for 45 minutes and now there's rain and there's a thunderstorm and you just need to get out of line and unlock it. Or I guess you could hang around in line waiting for it to reopen, but it's always a gamble when it comes to Florida. So you're really gonna need to make a judgment call. So better to avoid getting in line for those rides if you know there's a thunderstorm likely to come, soon. And one way that I recommend that you avoid getting into this predicament is to download some of the weather apps to your mobile device so you can frequently check their weather radars. They're super accurate and they will give you a really good idea whether you should be joining that line for Slinky Dog now, or maybe just hanging fire till after the rain passes. Well, hopefully you found this video helpful or at least entertaining. If you did, please consider giving it a thumbs up on your way out and maybe subscribing to Florida Tips for Brits for more videos just like this. Thanks for watching.